Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Trainers of professional accountants here present, CPA students, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is a pleasure to be here this morning, but most importantly, to speak to you about this paper 14, Public Sector Accounting and Reporting. Paper 14, Public Sector Accounting and Reporting, is one of the 5 papers at level 3 of your course. So the overall aim of this paper is to enable learners to apply and integrate policy, regulatory, institutional reporting, and accountability frameworks in the public sector. When you look at the syllabus, it has 8 learning outcomes. In other words, when you complete this paper, we expect you to discuss and explain the main features of the public sector entities. That is number 1. Number 2, also expect that you are able to discuss and apply public sector policy, legal, and reporting frameworks. The third learning outcome, we expect that somebody who has studied this paper should be able to apply the principles, practices, and techniques in control and management of public resources in Uganda. The fourth outcome is that we expect somebody to prepare consolidated financial statements in the public sector. The previous speaker was talking about consolidated financial statements, I think largely in the business sector. So this one expects you to be able to prepare consolidated financial statements. And the fifth learning outcome is we expect somebody who has studied this paper to prepare, interpret, and statutory and management reports in accordance with applicable public sector frameworks in Uganda. And the sixth learning outcome is that we expect somebody to apply the international public sector accounting standards. The next learning outcome is we expect somebody to evaluate current public sector challenges, reforms, and practices. And lastly, we expect somebody to advise on best practices in accounting for and management of public resources. And the level of assessment, the exam is designed to test the learner's analytical evaluation synthesis skills in the management of public resources. I know that all of you have the syllabus, but I think it is important to walk through the sections in the syllabus of this paper. I counted and found out that there are 24 sections in this syllabus. And the first section deals with the introduction, meaning, objectives, characteristics of the public sector entities. It also deals with private versus public sector, categories of the public sector, and financial reporting in the public sector. Section B deals with reporting framework, policy and legal framework, central and local government institutional frameworks, accounting policy and practices. The third section deals with accounting policies, practices, basis, fund accounting, entity accounting, cash basis, accrual basis, accounting manuals, procedures, reports, the process, the budget cycle, and external audit. The next section deals with public procurement and disposal of public assets. This is a wide section because it deals with the basics, for instance, knowing what a bid is, what an award is, knowing the principles of public procurement, that in public procurement you should not discriminate, that in public procurement there should be transparency, there should be value for money. Those things are covered in this section. But of course, it also covers the process, right from planning. E deals with performance evaluation. This one covers the purpose and principles of evaluation. In the public sector, we have internal audit, but we also have monitoring and evaluation by the Office of the Prime Minister. We have the Auditor General. We have the Inspectorate of Government. And we have something called Criminal Investigation Intelligence Department. Now, the next section deals with public financial management and accounting systems. In Uganda today, we have systems. The Integrated Financial Management System, IFMS, Integrated Personnel and Payroll System, IPPS, the Treasury Single Account, the Debt Management and Accounting System and Fixed Asset and Inventory Management System. Again, it is important when you are going through your reading and when you are being trained to make sure that that section is properly handled. But in the public sector, ethics is a very important issue, and it is also covered in the syllabus. You know, when people are handling money, they should have some sort of degree of ethics. And here, the syllabus mentions something about the IGG and oversight committees, the ones I've just been talking about, declaration of income, assets and liabilities, disclosure of personal interest, handling of gifts in kind, use of public property, conflict of interest, and the challenges of enforcing the leadership code. So, this is followed by section H to X. And section H to X largely covers the international public sector accounting standards. I've just done some sort of table. You may not see it from behind, but I just wanted to summarize these IPSAS. And since I'm not here to teach IPSAS, the reason of putting them there is to tell you what the syllabus covers. And of course, when you go back to your syllabus, you will see that those IPSAS are covered actually from 1 to 41. Is this subject important to us in our very daily life? The truth is, this is a very important subject. I should tell you that in our country today, government is the largest employer. Government, through the Ministry of Finance, has over... Now, let's look at a summary of candidate performance per question. I think this is from the June 2018 date. Now, question 1, number of candidates, those were the number of candidates. and those were the scores. But when you look at the percentages at the end, it shows that I think people are not passing this paper. From the outside point of view, for instance, for me, who is looking at this, I see that people are not passing this paper. But let's go further and try to look at what was entailed in these questions. Now, question 1 was compulsory. Part A required the candidates to contrast financial statements in the public, contrast financial management in the public sector and the business organizations. Part A 3 examined the candidates on Public Financial Management Act 2015 on the following: powers of the Secretary to Treasury, responsibilities of the Accountant General, delegation of function or responsibility by accounting officer. Then Part B, Roman 1, examined the candidates on IPSAS 24, presentation of budget information in financial statements. And Part 2 required the candidates to prepare a statement of consolidated financial position. But let's look at how people fared. As a compulsory question, it was attempted by 100% of the candidates. Generally, performance was extremely poor, and only one candidate was able to obtain more than half of the total marks. Now, Part A, 1 of the question, was done poorly. Most candidates could not differentiate between financial management in the public sector and business organizations. Part 2 of the question was fairly done. However, some candidates failed to point out the powers of the Secretary to Treasury and delegation of function or responsibility by accounting officer. Instead, the candidates were giving functions of the PSST and the role of accounting officer. Part B of the question was poorly done, since most candidates failed to prepare a consolidated statement of financial performance in accordance with IPSAS 24, presentation of budget information in the financial statements. And applying IPSAS 35, consolidated financial statements, and IPSAS 4, the effect of changes in exchange rates. This resulted in low marks scored in this section. Now, let's look at question 2. Question 2 examined the candidates on IPSAS 5, borrowing costs. Part A examined the candidates on the computation of borrowing costs to be capitalized. And Part A2 required the candidates to discuss the recognition, commencement, and cessation of capitalization of borrowing costs. Now, Part B examines students on IPSAS 28 financial instruments. Candidates were required to discuss the difference between financial asset and financial liability. And Part 2 required the candidates to explain a putable instrument and circumstances under which the financial asset and liability shall be offset. This question was attempted by 56.8% of the candidates, but with a low pass rate of 1.21%. And at Part A, most students failed to compute interest to be capitalized, and Part 2 was fairly done, with most candidates who attempted it getting most of the marks. Most candidates were giving a criteria for recognition of asset and liability, and note the difference between financial asset and financial liability. Question 3 examined candidates on the preparation of financial statement of financial position using accrual basis in accordance with relevant IPSAS. And Part A required the candidates to incorporate adjustments that were given in the financial statement and redraft the statement of financial position. This next part examined candidates on IPSAS 22, disclosure of financial information, and the general government sector. The question was attempted by 50.4 of the candidates, registering a pass rate of 1.37. Now, in Part A, the candidates demonstrated inadequate knowledge in making adjustment to the financial statements and could not score marks in those areas. Then in Part B, this was poorly done as candidates could not describe segment reporting as per IPSAS 22. So you can see, I have tried to look at all the 5 questions in that set, and I've also looked at the 5 questions in the set for November 2017. But with that insight, even if I don't cover the other areas, you find that candidates are asked to answer questions, but the answers they are giving, either they just fail to give the answers, or the answers they are giving are irrelevant in the perspective of the question asked. Now, I don't know whether I should continue going question by question, or I just give my recommendations. The other material can be got from the slides. I've put many things here. You'll look at them. But let me look at this area which I think is very important. Now, candidates are also advised to be aware of the current reforms in the public financial management sector. These things of, is it IFMS, PBS, TSA, those should be areas where you get full marks. Even by using your phone and you say current reforms, and you easily get those points, and then, like I've said, if the examiner tries to bring it, put full marks and you get your full what? Full points and you get your marks. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to end by saying that it is possible to pass. But passing requires preparation, and preparation. Thank you very much.